Unless it's in there somewhere. No, there's definitely a ledge. Shit, I hear speeder bikes. There's got to be a way up here. That's definitely like a cliff walkway up here. Some sort of a ledge. Oh, it's already doing some of those things, Belloc. God, that can't be the right way.
Let's get out of here.
So Belloc asked a question over on YouTube. Says, how do you think AI will help gameplay for video games? Will it be dynamic quests, adaptive difficulty? So AI already does adaptive difficulty for a variety of games. Probably the most prominent that I've played would be something like MLB The Show or Madden, if I'm not mistaken. I know MLB The Show has it. I think Madden has it as well. But MLB The Show in particular has a really good dynamic difficulty that's all governed by AI. So it's watching how you play, the way you play, what you're playing, how you're batting, all these different things, and it scales that difficulty according. Um, so AI is already being used in that fashion. Also in fantasy games where we have dynamic scaling, adaptive difficulty, so on and so forth. Dynamic quests it's already doing. We're seeing lots of procedural generation for um, like background quests. Um, so main quests being written, handwritten, and background quests largely being generated by AI and then edited by a human. Um, so those are kind of already going in place. I think what some companies are trying to do is also work towards um, we're already seeing some of this. We've got AI voiceovers, which can work fairly well. Um, so I think if you think about if a company could take adaptive AI elements for like narration, voiceovers, mocap, like so motion performance, and this is where you get into the risky territory of the actors, right? But this is the interesting part of the conversation. Think about the holodecks on in Star Trek, right? The holodecks, they're purely holographic projections. It's just computers at play, right? There's generally, remember in at least I remember in Deep Space Nine, like there were people who wrote, like their job was, instead of being an author of books, they were an author of holo adventures, right? So the creative element changes from being one of I'm going to be an actor in a show to I'm going to create the shows themselves. But if you could think about perfect AI integration, it's going to look like something like the hologram, the holo adventures in Star Trek, especially the ones from like Deep Space Nine, but also from Star Trek Next Generation. The AI, you'll have a human being who will create like the base story elements, but then the AI is going to come in and fill in all the dots. So you'll create your 12 bullet point thing and say, I need it to be an adventure. It's the cues. You're doing the same thing you're doing with ChatGPT right now, or any generative AI that you're seeing for imagery. You, the human, input the bullet points. I want a dark fantasy adventure set in the Middle Ages with, flying bats that suck your blood and a crazy cult that's trying to take over the world and blah. Like you put in those points and then the AI fills in all the gaps. And so rather than needing to have, a team of 5,000 contractors to go out there and create all of the assets and the lines of dialogue and blah blah blah. The AI will just take care of all of that. But we are a long, 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 long way away from that. I think right now we're definitely seeing it help towards generative dialogue for quests, for very rudimentary voiceovers. Um, there's Robin Hood Sherwood Builders had a lot of like not great voice acting in it because they were using voice to text AI stuff, and it was noticeably different than a human read line. I appreciated the fact that they had it in the game because I like fully voiced, but there's a huge difference between the human voiced parts and the AI voiced parts. Like that tech has a long way to go. Um, it's very expensive right now. Um, but yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Will be you'll have individual creators being able to create video games or VR games in the hollow space, and they will just be people who have ideas. You're going to plug those into a. It's we're already doing it. Like I go to ChatGPT, I plug in my 20 different things. ChatGPT spins me out a thing. I look at the thing, and I say, that's trash. Do me another iteration. I get the next iteration, trash. Third iteration, okay, this actually looks halfway decent. Let me put this over here, and now I'll take 3 hours and I'll edit that down, and now I have something that's workable. Like I have a serviceable thing, which I could then, if I wanted to, release to the public. Um, and generative AI with especially if you do any social media, I do a lot of TikTok, and there are tons of uh, they're short snippets, but it's lots of character imagery created with AI, and it's all based on prompts. Um, we've seen the latest tech coming out of Google too, where we're seeing basically an AI person giving a presentation, and it's really hard to tell that it's not a human being. Like they're actually giving, and so if you think about it this way, that's going to allow certain creators to create TikTok shorts or YouTube shorts, Instagram shorts, short snippets where they put in a dialogue. Let's just say I want to present myself as um, a public speaker, right? I want to present myself as a public speaker. And so I want to make it as though I've done lots of events, and maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm a completely fictional character. Maybe I, you know, but the point is I can plug somebody in. I can generate an image with AI, give it a speech that looks like I'm talking to a crowd of people on stage, like I'm giving a keynote, and I can be. It's a soundbite, right? I can make a soundbite with VR right now with AI. Sorry, I can make a soundbite that would either look like myself or I could make it look like some randomly generated figure. That already exists, and then I can put that on social media, and it looks like I'm giving a keynote at South by Southwest. Obviously you wouldn't want to do that because that's branded, but you could make it look could be any random place in the world. Um, on stage somewhere giving a speech presentation, and you could create content all around that and generate revenue off of that. Sell a book with all of that. There's already really interesting ways that you can use AI. So as it gets better, we will notice the difference less and less. Godboat Willie says the issue I have with AI is companies like Activision Blizzard laid off scores of game developers to instead use AI. It will cost jobs. So to play devil's advocate to that, you're not wrong, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute. Um, those people, it's no different than any time we've gone through an evolution of industry at any point in the human history. I always like to go back to the threshing machines of the Industrial Revolution because this is an area where I actually have a little bit of knowledge because I spent some time working on a project for a client years and years ago. So, but we've seen the pattern repeat. The printing press, electricity, the light bulb, cars. Oh, they're going to replace horses. Yes, they will. Airplanes are going to replace trains. Trains replace cars. Like the evolution of our species means that we're always going to be progressing, and in that process, we shed the antiquated and the old. And whenever those changes happen, it is a difficult time. Um, because people will lose their jobs 100%. Now, the people who survive are the ones who figure out how to adapt to the new environment. So if I was a artist right now, or I was a writer, if I was working professionally in the field and I was an artist or a writer or something, I would be training myself and taking courses on how to learn how to use AI so that I can keep my job and so that I can be part of the new wave of people who are using AI to move technology forward, to move the industry forward. It only sucks for the people who refuse to adapt. So, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. I realize that this is a very sensitive topic. No one deserves to lose their job, but in the industrial evolution, when the threshing machine came along, what happened was all these workers used to every year they would go to the fields, to the wheat fields. They would cut all the wheat, and then they would manually thrash the wheat. They would take the wheat and you thrash it, and you dislodge the seeds from the stalk, then you throw the stalk away, and that becomes burnable trash or hay or whatever. But you want the seeds for milling. And that was all done by hand. Well, then along comes the steam engine, and that generates industry. And along comes the threshing machine, which is a steam-powered belt engine run machine that threshes the wheat for you. It can do it 50 times faster than a chain of humans can do it, and it costs much less in the long run, which allows the farmer to create more of a profit and to do things more productively. And in the process of that, you have all of these industry workers who are these people who would come to the fields and work this manual labor job every summer. They lost their jobs. Now, their reaction was, fuck you, farmer. And they went and tried to burn down the farms of the farmers who were using the threshing machines. Or in some cases, they would try to, destroy the threshing machine because fuck you, farmer. I can sit here in 2024 and look back to that and say, without a doubt, the threshing machine was a massive, massive push in technology for the human species because it was part of the steam revolution, the industrial revolution, which in turn spawned air conditioning and automobiles and airplanes and fan motors of all types, which run my computers, which run my tablets, which run my cell phones, the internet that I use for my day job, all of these things. So every time we see technology changing like that, there will be people who lose their jobs. And it sucks for those people. It does suck. It sucks to be a part of that. However, smart artists and smart writers and smart people in those environments would absolutely be, it would be in their best interests to start learning AI because it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get better. And the people who learn how to manipulate AI and use AI in their jobs are the ones who keep their jobs and get to go into the next iteration of human evolution. Um, so I've adapted. I don't use it every day, but I definitely use AI in a lot of the stuff I do. Um, when we hired the artist who did the covers for our tabletop game, point and click adventure game, and book series, the most recent project that we worked on in game dev, um, the first artist I got did not disclose that he used AI in his um, pitch to me. I paid the deposit. I got my first round drafts back, and it was instantly obvious that he had used AI. And the images that he had up on his website and portfolio did not show AI images, and he didn't disclose it to me. And I went back and said, "These are AI, and here's the things I can tell you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I totally use AI as part of my process." And I said, "Well, unfortunately, it's not what I'm looking for. I want my money back." And he was cool. He gave me my money back, and we moved on. The only reason I did that was because he didn't disclose it. I have absolutely used AI aspects because Chris does art and then she'll pass it off to me and I can take things that she's done and I can plug it into AI and we can tweak it, modify it, make it do things that she can't do. My wife is not a great character artist. So we can take backgrounds and things and then I can plug it into AI and I can generate some character art to go with that image. 100% fine with doing that. I don't feel the need to go out and pay an additional artist to do something that I can do using AI. Okay, because I've taught myself that skill set. The reason I've taught myself that skill set is because that allows me to do better things with work that I do. I use ChatGPT to help with generating ideas when it comes to like my YouTube strategy. Like, what would be a good YouTube series around Star Wars: The Old Republic? And it'll spit out like 25 ideas, and I'll look through those, and then I'll take those into Google, and I'll search each one of those, and I'll find the ones that have traffic but not a lot of information, and I'll go, bingo, there's a 5-part YouTube series. And then I go to ChatGPT again, and I say, ChatGPT, give me 5 videos on this topic. And it gives me 5 ideas. And I look at those and go, great, those are the 5 ideas that I'm going to run with to make my next 5 Star Wars: The Republic videos. I then sit down, I take 2 hours or 3 hours or 6 hours or whatever it is, I manually record those videos. But the whole brainstorming process and everything else, I use AI for. In many, many cases. Not every time. I have a system, so I kind of know which guides are going to work. And I don't do guides for every game I play. So I'm way off topic now, guys. You got me talking about AI. AI is funny. Where I do think we do need protections, like the strike that's going on with writers right now, or excuse me, with actors against the video game industry, I totally support. Because if I'm going to use the likeness of an actor or the voice of an actor, they need to be compensated for that. However, if I create a character with AI, you know, then I shouldn't have to pay anybody for that. But if I'm using the likeness of an actor, they 100% deserve compensation for that, even if they weren't the one actually mocapping or voice acting the role. So I think that those protections need to be in place for creatives in that space. But in terms of artists and writers, and I'm a writer, man, I've got 20 million words in print. But I do not think that writing is some protected, sacred thing that, oh my God, we must always write with a chisel on the side of a mountain with a hammer and a chisel because everything else is evil and technology is bad. Nah, fuck that. Like, let's ride that wave. Let's take writing and language to the next level. Let's get in there with the AI. Let's get in there and churn it up a little bit. And let's figure out what's the next iteration of human conversation and communication. Like, I'm all for that. So it sucks for the artists in the industry, but also the industry is shifting. And so if you want to keep your job, you could either be the laborer who rages against the farmer because you built the threshing machine, you motherfucker, or you can learn how to be a threshing machine operator, and then you keep your job and you go on to the next iteration of human evolution. That's the key. Sink or swim. That's it. So that's the devil's advocate side of things. Internet journalism versus newspaper, says Nico. AI will ultimately be a big win, will empower us by reducing soulless manual labor and creative work. Humans will be the it factor. If it works properly, we get to the Star Trek utopia. No shit. If it works properly, we get to that Star Trek utopia. If it goes wrong, we get to the Matrix. And we're all just food for the machines. Just a battery source, man. But in a perfect world, technology works for us, and we get to the point where we no longer need manual labor jobs, and we can all work on creative pursuits like they do in Star Trek, and it's this utopia where money doesn't exist, and everyone just does what they want. You want to be an explorer in space? You want to be a musician? You want to be a painter? You want to be a restaurateur? Like, all these things, it's all taken care of, man. It's a utopia, but theoretically. So, I think AI is interesting. It needs oversight. For sure it needs oversight. But it's going to be an interesting place when we finish up with whatever evolution of it we're getting. Can I go in that wind tunnel with my machine? Because I have not found a way up on this rock, man. And it looks like that wind tunnel is like the only way in. And I don't know enough about wind tunnels. I've never tried to go in one. Well, here goes nothing. Maybe I need to boost. That was the trick. Holy shit, I didn't think that would work. Well, I know how to get through wind tunnels now.
Hey. Huh. I wonder where that leads.
We're about to find out where that leads. Fallen Mound. There's 2 chests in here. Oh, there's a wind tunnel down there. That only lasts for a minute though, doesn't it? Yep, so it's only gonna stop the winds for a second. Shit, can I save up here? No. Ugh. It's gonna be rough. That one's pulsing. It goes and then stops. So is it gonna push me back here if I miss? Alright, so I have to manage to get around that whole... Oh, I didn't start running. I'm not gonna make it. I made it. Oh shit, there's something.
Alright, distract him, Nix. Good boy. Watch out, Nix. We got company.
Do I care about the company?
What do you see?
Man, I don't know if I should shoot that thing or ignore that
Gotcha.
thing. I still ignore it for now. Hang on, guys. I gotta catch up on chat. There was a bunch of stuff that went through. I gotta refresh it. Sirius says, gotta watch the Mitchell and Webb sketch called Bronze Orientation, which is a Stone Age hunter-gatherers going to the Bronze Age. Yep, Gunboat. The Adobe Creative Suite also uses AI. YouTube uses AI in 2 ways right now. Like, one is, this just popped up a couple months back. It will now, if you get, like, if I'm watching a game trailer and that game trailer uses licensed music, previously if I wanted to pull that out, I would have to manually just trim that segment out using YouTube's Creative Suite for the studio. You would trim out that segment. In some cases, it would let you mute the track, but not always. Well, the new AI tools let you strip music out, so it erases the music in the background in a different way than muting did before. It technically works okay. like my Gamescom coverage got hit with like 13. That first video I did, the day one of Gamescom, had like 13 or 14 copyright claims on it, and it took about 2 days to clear them all. But I went through and I think I was able to erase like 11 of them, and I only had to like trim out like 2 segments completely because they had video elements that were associated with them as well. So that helps with that. And then also, YouTube has an AI that combs YouTube comments for, you know, bad words, racism, things of that nature. Um, so, yes. Yeah, but the shrinking of the workforce, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Um, I don't personally care about the shrinking of the workforce so much as I care about the evolution of the species, if that makes sense. Um, and I realize that that's not a viewpoint that everyone shares. So, in terms of having a functioning society, you obviously need to find things for lots of people to do, to contribute, and all of these things. Now we're going to get into social politics and other stuff, but um, the 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 workforce doesn't have to shrink. The workforce can learn to adapt. But if people refuse to adapt, that's kind of not the industry's fault. So, like the threshing machine, you learn how to use a threshing machine. Now, here's these 25 other machines that get built because of the threshing machine, and you now know how to operate all of them because you know how to operate this steam engine. So if you've learned if you've learned the new skill set, you get to go on and work in the next generation. If you refuse to learn the skill set, then you get left behind and you're no longer part of the workforce. So my view on that has always been sink or swim. Like, evolve or you don't. Like, if you want to be complacent, then there are consequences for that. If you want to learn a new skill set and evolve with the industry, it's hard. It's not easy. Change is never easy. It's the friction thing. Anytime there's friction, we have change, and change always produces new results. Um, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, by the way. I'm saying, it's it's an interesting conversation if you look at human evolution to where we stand today. We always have these moments of going into the next generation of technology, and there are some people who drive that tech and drive that evolution and go with it, and then there's people who get left behind. And that's again, you're not wrong. It's a slippery slope. Um, to I'm laughing because the memberships are randomly granted. And Happy Sanjo just gifted a membership on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. And the person who received it, their tag is literally Ebola. What the hell? Oh no. Gunboat brings up a good point. The way that Adobe went about adding that clause in very sneakily a few months ago was not cool. Fuck Adobe. Because they did put a clause in their Creative Suite. I shut down. I've always had a running um, Photoshop and Lightroom subscription, like $10 a month, right? I shut it down. I was like, nah, no thanks. Like, I'm not giving you the rights to use all of my stuff for AI. If I want to use my stuff for AI, I'm totally going to use it, but I'm not going to give you the right to use it. However, what they're trying to do with the tech is impressive. I just don't choose to have my work because here's the thing. I make money off of my writing. I make money off of my stuff, and therefore I'm a lot more protective of it than other people might be. If I'm just some random person using Photoshop for fun, I don't care about that because I don't make a living with it. And I'm more than happy to give to you. Every time I play a video game, by the way, guys, if you don't know this, every video game you play, every single video game you play, you have accepted a terms and conditions to play. You have clicked the button that says I agree.